Is it justifiable to burn down a company that is destroying the environment? Would the act be considered bravery or terrorism? This issue was raised at the start of AU's annual Human Rights film series that began this year with the screening of the documentary If a Tree Falls, a story of the Earth Liberation Front by filmmaker Marshall Curry. The film takes an inside look at the Earth Liberation Front, commonly referred to as the ELF, an underground network of environmentalists who go to extreme lengths to protect the planet, launching arsons as a form of economic sabotage against businesses they accuse of destroying the environment. The FBI has classified the ELF as a top domestic terrorist threat, eco-terrorists, responsible for over 1,200 criminal incidents, which cause millions of dollars in property damage. If a Tree Falls examines environmentalism, activism, and the way that terrorism is defined in a post-9/11 world. Filmmaker Marshall Curry, whose other films include Street Fight and Racing Dreams, joined ATV's special broadcast to discuss the film, his reasons for making it, and even offered some advice for aspiring filmmakers.
911, where is your emergency?
The Earth Liberation Front is turning up the heat again, igniting devastating blazes all across the country.
Fire bombings included attacks on lumber mills, wild horse corrals, and meat packing plants.
So we're screening the film tonight. I just wanted to see what the message you hope people will come out, walk away with after they watch this movie.
It's not exactly a film that has a message. It's more a film that asks a lot of questions and doesn't answer those questions. And it's about a radical environmentalist who burned a couple of timber facilities in Oregon and faced life in prison for that. And so, really, it's a movie that tries to get people to kind of step out of their comfort zones and see issues from other people's perspectives.
And what was your reason for getting involved in this type of project?
The project really kind of dropped in my lap. My wife runs a domestic violence organization in Brooklyn, and she came home from work one day and told me that 4 federal agents had walked into her office that day and arrested one of her employees. And it was this guy, Daniel McGowan. And he faced life in prison for these 2 arsons of Oregon timber facilities, and the government considered him to be a terrorist. And so that just seemed like an interesting story to me. How did this guy wind up getting involved with these arsons, and was what he did terrorism?
Curry portrays an image of Daniel McGowan and 13 others who were arrested, not as cold mugshots, but as people who were genuinely concerned about the environment.
Sometimes when you see things you love being destroyed, you just want to destroy those things.
I'm not suggesting that the path of destruction is the right path. When you're screaming at the top of your lungs and no one hears you, what are you supposed to do?
And Daniel McGowan, do you know what the status of his sentence is now? Is he still under arrest? Or?
Yeah, he's still in prison and has a couple more years in prison. He's in a special prison called a Communication Management Unit, a CMU. And it is essentially the terrorist wing of a prison. Originally, he was put into the CMU in Marion, Illinois, and now he's been moved to Terre Haute, Indiana. But he has very little access to the outside world, very restricted visits, very restricted phone calls.
And as far as the other 13 people that were arrested that were mentioned through the documentary, are they also in prison? Or?
Some of them are in prison and will be in prison for 10 more years. Others have already served their time. If people are interested, our DVD that just came out has actually follow-up interviews with people and kind of where are they now section that looks at some of the different characters and explores what happened to them.
People are saying, it's even-handed, it's a well-balanced film. When you were done, when you walked away from it, did you come out taking a side?
I would say, I studied religion. I was a comparative religion major when I was in college, and I really wanted to figure out if there was God and if, how we should live our lives. And When I graduated, one of my friends said to me, you know, I'm still confused, but just at a higher level. And that's kind of how I walked away. I walked away feeling like it's a complicated and nuanced topic, and the film reflects that. So there was not a single clean answer to me after spending that much time exploring the topic.
Film awards have already been given to Curry for this documentary. And how are you reacting to the reviews so far?
The reviews have been great. I mean, it's nice. You know, you work on a movie for 5 years. It's always more fun when people like it than not. So, but I think it's generated a lot of good conversation about it. It's about, you know, environmentalism and terrorism and activism and policing and people from lots of different points of view, from the prosecutor who spent years working on the case to people who were involved in the Earth Liberation Front themselves. They've all kind of felt like the film tells the story accurately and tells it well.
Some of Curry's other award-winning documentaries are Street Fight and Racing Dreams. A question about your background. I know you said you're a comparative religion major. So what made you get into film?
You know, I guess in a lot of ways it's not a direct connection, and I did a lot of different jobs before finally making my first documentary film, but I do think that there's something about studying religion that relates to making documentary films, and maybe it's just a curiosity about people, why they do what they do and think what they think, and kind of live the way that they live, and also probably becoming comfortable with ambiguity and with unanswered questions. And I think there's an element of making documentary films that requires you to be kind of wide open to different kinds of people and different points of view. And so maybe being a religion major prepares you for that a little bit.
So for students here that are majoring in film or people that are interested in producing documentaries, can you offer some advice to students?
Yeah, I would say watch a lot of documentaries. I mean, watching films and studying them, watching them repeatedly and trying to understand the way that they're constructed, how long scenes last, the way that narrative arcs work, and really kind of spending time with films that you like, and also just shooting and editing. I mean, when I made Street Fight, my first film, I would come home at night and watch the footage, and it would be full of mistakes, and I would try to figure out, well, how do I do it better next time? And I shot 200 hours, and my last 50 are a lot better than my first 50. And the same with editing. I feel like there's nothing like sitting at a computer day after day after day after day, trying to make scenes work, trying to make them be compelling and logical and to make movies. There's nothing like learning how to make a movie besides, there's nothing that's better than just sitting and trying to make a movie.
What do you think makes your film so powerful?
Powerful? I don't know.
Or influential, yeah. You know, that they get great recognition, they get this praise, people want to watch it, they get inspired by it.
You know, the topics and the characters are definitely unusual. Somebody said to me they thought it was kind of a, you know, the American trilogy is it's one film about inner city politics, one film about NASCAR, and one film about radical environmentalism. Sort of in that three, it sort of tells you everything you need to know about America. But I think probably they're also connected by, they're all three stories about people who have some sort of a dream and it bangs into reality. And there's something, you know, inherently dramatic and maybe even important about seeing people, you know, whether they're kids or politicians or activists, realizing what happens when their realities meet their dreams.